we shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
Is that you could actually spray sulfuric acid in the stratosphere 20 kilometers over our head and use that to stop the planet warming up in a ugly tech fix.
You can spray something into the atmosphere to change. Okay,
spray pollution into the atmosphere to stop it warming.
At least 18 reported tornadoes in 3 states overnight, and more than 100 severe weather reports.
Overnight, twister after twister taking aim at the heartland. You can see this massive funnel cloud making its way across that field. In Oklahoma, this reported tornado touching down. And check out the ominous Kansas sky overnight, lightning revealing numerous funnel cloud.
Okay, so how, again, I interrupt you slightly there. How does it work? How many planes are we talking about here? How do you do this?
So let's say you wanted to stop it warming in 2020. You'd start with a fleet of just 2 or 3 kind of modified business jets. You'd put, say, 20,000 tons of sulfuric acid into the stratosphere every year, and each year you have to put a little more, and this doesn't, in the long run, mean that you can forget about cutting emissions. We will need to rein in emissions.
We'll get to it eventually, yeah.
But it does.
But in the meantime, we're shrouding the Earth in sulfuric acid.
Most of Oklahoma under a state of emergency tonight. High wind and severe drought are creating blowtorch conditions. At least 1 person has died. More than 200,000 acres have burned. 1,400 people have been forced from their homes.
The largest fire burning is the Wraith Fire in Dewey County. That fire is 28 miles long and 7 miles wide.
Western Oklahoma is on fire. A state of emergency declared in more than 50 counties. The smoky smell detected in neighboring states.
The wind's horrible. The only thing that we've had is cooler temperatures, and that hasn't affected the fire conditions at all.
The reprieve will be short-lived. Temperatures are forecast to soar into the 90s this week, potentially whipping up Oklahoma's already deadly wildfire.
Blanketing the Earth in sulfuric acid, because I'm all for it. This is the all-chocolate dinner. I still get to have my CO2, and I just need to spray sulfuric acid all over the Earth.
Right question, but we put 50 million tons of sulfuric acid in the air now. Kills 1 million people a year worldwide.
Okay, and that's
so
good or bad?
It's terrible.
But it'll be better if we put more in.
We're talking about 1% of that, a tiny fraction of that. So we should reduce that sulfuric acid.
So if it kills 1 million people and we're only
bad.
doing 1% more, we're just killing 10,000 more people.
You can do math.
Okay.
But that's, so killing people is not the objective here.
Killing people, not the objective. I just wanted to be clear. All right.
Red tide discovered in the waters off 2 popular Collier County beaches. The latest round of testing uncovered the high levels of the harmful algae near Barefoot and Vanderbilt beaches.
It's causing dead fish to wash ashore, many still littering the sand there.
Well, the deadly effect of red tide on fish is still very present out here on Vanderbilt Beach. They are all over the place, but it's not just fish taking a hit tonight. A wildlife veterinarian tells me that there are birds eating these fish that are impacted by red tide and then getting sick. Red tide is back with a vengeance at Collier County beaches.
This is definitely the longest one I've ever remembered.
The last tests from Thursday found high levels of red tide in the water near Barefoot and Vanderbilt beaches. Tests conducted earlier in the week found almost no sign of the harmful algae.
It seems that it's been fairly consistent for months now.
Joanna Fitzgerald is a wildlife veterinarian. She says all of these birds here almost died after eating fish contaminated with red tide toxins.
They come in and they can't even blink. It's a full body paresis, so they can't move.
And I'll read you the quote because it's an important one, and it comes from the Secretary of Defense, William Cohen, and it was at a DoD news briefing, April 27th, 1997. It was on a conference of on international terrorism, international terrorism and weapons of mass destruction. Now, this is 4 years before 9/11, and this was in the DoD news briefing that followed. And what he said, and I quote, "Others are engaging even in an eco-type of terrorism whereby they can alter climate, set off earthquakes and volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves," unquote. Now, that's a powerful statement for a seated Secretary of Defense to make.
The Ring of Fire has sparked earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
A volcano in southwestern Japan has erupted after 250 years of silence. And meteorological agency officials are telling people to stay away from Mount Ioyama.
The eruption of a volcano on Hawaii's largest island has forced the evacuation of 1,700 residents.
A witness described the flowing magma as a curtain of fire. Another said the eruption sounded like a jet engine.
I ran in, I grabbed the dogs, threw them in a crate, put them in the car. We moved from California to get away from forest fires. Welcome to paradise.
In Hawaii, over 450 earthquakes in 24 hours and spewing lava.
Volcanic eruptions spewing molten rock, ash, and toxic gases onto Hawaii's Big Island. The eruption stemming from a series of cracks in Pu'u'o'o's rift zone, miles from the Kilauea volcano. Video from earlier this week shows walls of smoke billowing as the vent on Pu'u'o'o collapses, leaving behind a red, rocky surface similar to that of Mars, with gaping holes giving us a glimpse of the orange liquid magma smoldering below.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations.
Been following a story in Girard about some loud booms that some people believe are explosions in the city.
A neighbor last night told us it's been going on for years in the neighborhood just off Route 422 on Emma Street and also on Morris Avenue.
For years now, people in Girard right around I-80 say they hear and feel explosions, but the one they felt Wednesday took it to another level.
It sounded like a big bomb going off. The floor actually shook. I was laying on the couch and it shook. The roof felt like it was going to come down on us.
Some of her neighbors have cracks in their foundations, crumbling exteriors, and they're wondering if it might be related. Superior Auto Body's right on the corner of Emma Street and 422, and Jared Latone says it happens on average a couple times a week.
It's kind of now just, oh, there's another one. All right, it happened again. We don't know what it is. We can guess and say we think it's the gas tanks from the cars across the street, but we really don't know.
So, at least for now, the mystery continues, leaving a whole neighborhood on shaky ground.
Can you just do it for part of the planet?
Pretty much the whole planet.
No, but could you? Could you just just make things better for the United States?
Very hard to do. It seems that this is mostly global. But the big fear is that one country will want it one way and one the other, like two frat boys arguing over the thermostat. And in many ways, the biggest fear here, but we have no idea how to actually agree about how to control the planet's thermostat.
What happens to the sulfuric acid after it's sprayed? Does it just stay up there?
No, it rains down.
Okay.
But as I said, it rains down.
Okay.
It's a tiny addition to what we're already doing.
So in the end, pollution saved them all. We owe pollution. We owe acid rain an apology, is what you're saying.
A totally imperfect technical fix.
Okay.
It would have risks. It wouldn't get us out of the long-run need to stop polluting, but it might actually save people and be useful.
You ever look at those planes up there? They have contrails behind them. Maybe all those planes with the contrails, maybe they're actually spraying chemicals into the atmosphere right now and Uncle Sam isn't telling us.
Seems extremely unlikely.
That the United States is not telling something to its citizens? That seems extremely likely to me. Read the newspaper.